Well, good evening. This is the 14th episode of the Hospitality Show by Dr. Ananth Vaidyanathan, live to you from Mega Classic Banquet Hall, Borivali. This hospitality show, which has seen the giants in this business, has been brought to you live and is being viewed by many people all around the world. We have got many guests in the show who have applauded and appreciated, and now I feel happy that we have been conveying a good message to the hospitality industry and to the various fraternities as well. The show is powered by Selavi, the elite club at Bandra, and is being powered by Selavi as well. And this week, we have a great entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, who has shown us what is the way forward in the hotel industry, and who is a good friend of mine, known to me for years, and we have seen him growing. And it gives me immense pleasure and in welcoming Mr. Vishal Kamath. The show is live on YouTube as well as in WhatsApp. And if you are not able to view it online, you can watch it on FB, Facebook page, Dr. Ananth Vaidyanathan, and on YouTube, Dr. Ananth Vaidyanathan. Now, I request Dimple Madani to give an intro of today's chief guest, Mr. Vishal Kamath. Over to you, Dimple.
Thank you, sir. Namaste and good evening to all our online viewers. This is Dimple and I would like to welcome you all to the 14th episode of the Hospitality Show, which gives me an immense pleasure to introduce one of the young and enterprising personality, Mr. Vishal Kamath, the guest for the evening in conversation with Dr. Ananth Vaidyanathan, CEO, Touch of Class. Mr. Vishal Kamath, in the Indian hospitality space, has received numerous industry awards and is recognized on various domestic and international media for his practical approach towards industry representation. As the CEO of Kamath Hotels India Limited, BSc graduate of Science from the esteemed IHM Sitan Mumbai, he has been groomed over 15 years in the hospitality sector by his father, Dr. Vishal Kamath. He leads the Kamath Group of Hotels, flagship brands, the Orchid, Asia's first 5-star ecotel hotel, Mumbai and Pune, Fort Jadavgarh, Maharashtra's only Fort Heritage Hotel, Pune Lotus Resort, Kona. Mr. Kamath is responsible for the company's acquisitions and strategic business planning. Mr. Kamath is an elected representative, CII Maharashtra, also head the MSME panel and have been the head of the tourism panel and various other panels. Mr. Kamath was the co-winner 2 years for the Maharashtra CII Energy and Environmental panel. Mr. Vishal Kamath was the recipient of the MCCI Young Entrepreneur 2013 award. Mr. Kamath have won various energy conversation awards, including Terry Awards for Sustainability and Energy Conservation, and was also invited as guest speaker in many colleges and forums, and also writes articles for various publications. The Orchid has won more than 150 national and international awards, including the Golden Peacock Award from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So, ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, please welcome Mr. Vishal Kamath.
Namaskar.
Good evening, Mr. Kamath. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you for having me, Ananth. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure. Always it is a pleasure talking to you, meeting you. It's always a pleasure. Now let's get on to the show. How did Mr. Vishal Kamath enter into the hospitality industry, and how good he feels that he is in this industry?
Well, the first part is a no-brainer. My great grandfather was in this, my grandfather was in this, my father is in this, I'm also into this. Hospitality has been something we have grown up with. Seeing my father, seeing various others, and the fraternity we have grown up with, who today we call uncle and are like father figures. Seeing all these people, automatically it was something which you take a liking for, and it is very common in any established family business where you the older gen wishes the next gen to come in, and if the next gen takes the liking, then the older gen is also happy, and the younger gen also gets a leg up in life. It's not easy to start off on your own. So for me, it was very easy to continue to work in our family business and take such a lovely platform and be blessed with this lovely platform, and now the responsibility to take it forward. The second part, in this COVID times, I don't know what to say, but even in this COVID times, let me be very frank, it has always been a delight and it's always a pleasure. And even these challenges which come in front of us, um, what is life without challenge? If you have to remember God, you have to have some challenges, and each time you do it and then you say, oh, thank God, that satisfaction ultimately is the best. So I guess both the cases are destiny, luck, and also a pleasure.
Well, very nice. Then why come you studied BSc?
So actually, frankly speaking, I was absolutely educationally challenged. I have not got excellent marks in my general education, but I was very lucky. So when I finished, my mother was very very keen that I should do a professional course, and then of course this Dadar Catering College, as we lovingly call it, but known as IHM Mumbai, I got into that, and it's only a diploma. When I joined, it was only a diploma, and from decades we would hear that people are fighting to make it a degree course and this and that and whatever, all these kind of stories. But it was a diploma course, and my mother forcefully put me in distance learning course of Mumbai University so that I also become a graduate. And that was a dream come true कि ये मेरा लड़का graduate होएगा. And I did that in the FYJC. I did the first year. Then by the first year of completion of the Dadar Catering College, we suddenly learned that, wow, our course is now affiliated with IGNOU University Delhi, and now this diploma is going to become a degree, and we were the first batch to become BSc in hospitality management. And that's how I got this BSc, where even my BCom was in great danger. And that's how basically my mother's dream got fulfilled, and I got a proud certificate to put up on my wall. But ultimately, our industry is a shining example of your certificates mattering nothing. Ultimately, if you have two things in life, if you have the attitude and then you will learn with the aptitude. You have to have a desire to learn, and you have to have a desire to serve. If you have these two desires in life, so many people, I'm sure, Ananth, you have also in your long illustrious career seen people who have been nobodies are today restaurant managers. They have not even done 5th standard pass, but because of their aptitude of desire to learn and desire to serve, automatically they have imbibed themselves what is required. And today you find in so many restaurants, they are the restaurant managers, even the owners. They have become. Why? Because of this. So our industry is one which allows you to really use your potential and come forward in life. And that is why our industry is so important to the sector, which many people don't realize. Everybody else requires a degree. In ours, you don't need a degree. You just need to know the pulse of the customer in front of you and win him over.
Very true. You have to be practical. That is how here the theoretical doesn't work, only the practical works. Well said, Mr. Vishal. Now tell me about your school days, college days, your dating days. Aditi will not join in the first 15 minutes. I've told her to join after 15 minutes. So you can be frank enough and let me know, let the viewers know about your school days, college days, your families, your siblings, everything, whatever you want to say in this show.
So at the end of the day, whether Aditi is there or not, Aditi knows my past history, and it is absolutely colorful and delightful, whether it is my schooling, whether it is my dating, and whether it is anything. Because at the end of the day, we are Kamaths, and we always live life to the large, especially when it comes to eating, enjoying, exploring, traveling. I've been very lucky, thanks to my parents. From childhood, we've been going and seeing so many places, both abroad also and India also. And many of times people forget how beautiful our own country is. So travel is a big passion and a big thing in our life. And apart from that is also eating. And the beauty of my work is that within my work I get to travel also and I get to eat also. And that's why it's a job absolutely perfectly suited for me. If I wasn't in hospitality, I'd be in something related to aviation or hospitality or tourism, where I would be able to travel the way I do, and see so many new places and enjoy and made friends all over. So travel is something which is very, very important. So don't worry about Aditi. And if I've said anything wrong, she will go to your YouTube channel afterwards and see on that, and then she will make me. So I'm not worried. Don't worry about that. But yes, we as a family, we've been in this from last more than 80 years. Thanks to, like I said, my great grandfather, my grandfather, my father, all have a lot of our viewers already know about them. And I've worked with my father. I look after Orchid Hotel, Fort Jadavgarh. I have a brother, Dr. Vikram Kamath. I have a sister, Vidita Kamath, and both of them are doing very well in what they are doing. He looks after the WITS and he's growing that. He's also growing the Kamath restaurants. My sister is also very busy and doing her bakery and confectionery. And other than that, she does various educational courses also, in terms of various things. And then again, I have my wife, who's also extremely dynamic. And she's also got her restaurants and her bakery. And unfortunately, some of them in this Corona shutdown. But when one door closes, you have to find another door, and she's doing that. And hopefully there'll be some good news to announce on your show next time, Ananth.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had her on the show, and she is truly very, very explanative, and she knows what she is doing. She is hands-on to the business. It's very fortunate that you have got such a very clever wife for you. Compliments to you on that.
Yes,
Now,
that's the one thing in life.
Tell me, Mr. Vishal, how do you believe in national and global hospitality business?
Sorry, I didn't follow your question.
How much do you believe in national and global hospitality business?
More than global, I am a very, very proud supporter of domestic tourism right from before. There's nothing to do with Corona. Even before also, when we look at a mix of our business, and especially the metro cities, I would definitely encourage and emphasize a lot on domestic, because domestic doesn't follow necessarily a seasonal pattern. And domestic customers, contrary to what the myth is, domestic customers, depending on what your product is and how you're targeting them, have a better spend than foreign nationals. Foreign nationals may come with $1, but the dollar is very small. Indian man comes with a rupee, but many notes are there, and that is what you see in many of the shacks in Goa. A Indian family will come or a group will come. Yes, okay, they'll be noisy. They'll order 10 times, but what will happen is they will spend more in that 1 hour or that 1.5 hour and go away than the European or the foreigner who's come and sitting with that same bottle of beer. It's getting heated by the sun, and he spends in the entire day also per APC will not match the same. So we believe as Kamath, as Orchid Hotel, Fort Jadavgarh, a lot in our domestic power of spending, our domestic tourism. And Corona has further bolstered that, not just for us, but for many. And looking at how things are not yet opening globally, and even if they do open globally, tourists will take time to come. It makes sense for every entrepreneur to focus on making your product better for the domestic tourist, because they are always going to be here. Europeans, Americans, Southeast Asians, it doesn't matter who, they may or may not come. But your Indian brothers and sisters are always ready to travel. India is a land full of India is a land of celebration. We have a holiday for everything. We have more national holidays than all the holidays combined in Europe. London has only 9 or 8. In India, we have some 21. Out of that, unfortunately, many are dry days. And yet, you find people traveling for holidays. You find people traveling for with their family. And the biggest tourism which people sometimes tend to not keep in mind is religious tourism. You find an excuse to go for a religious tourism. You'll go to Tirupati or Vaishnav Devi, but then from Vaishnav Devi you go to Patni Top and you spend 2 days, 3 days there. So visiting and be thanking God is one part, and the excuse to ultimately take that forward to another lovely holiday. So religious tourism and other celebrity tourisms which are there within, I think we all should focus more on that, and I believe in that.
So you mean to say even before the pandemic, your international tourism was not that much coming to your properties in Mumbai, Orchid? I have found so
It
many
was
foreigners.
no. There are. It's not that we have a lot of tie-ups with a lot of global travel agencies who would come to Pune Orchid, Mumbai Orchid, or various other places. But the ratio was not highly dependent on them. That's why many a times when challenges have happened, we have been able to do well because we believed in the domestic tourist, the domestic travel agent, the domestic corporate movement. That helps. It's not just about global spending. A lot of for MNC companies are there, and a lot of chains also have excellent tie-ups with MNCs. And then you find these various foreign nationals coming in, whether it's Singapore, whether it's New York, whether it's whatever. And then there's that gap, that dependency, which if some reason some international flight is not there or whatever maybe the challenge is like right now, then you find suddenly that whole segment is gone. So that's
Okay.
what I mean. I'm not saying that foreigners would not come. They do definitely do come, and but our dependency on them is low or was low.
Very true. Very true. Okay. Got it. What is your focus area on building up the brand and making a comprehensive performance? And how do you do that?
So one of the so I've been very lucky that I already inherited certain plus points. One of them being a strong brand name, be it our own surname, be it our brand, the Orchid, which is extremely high recall, be it Fort Jadavgarh, which has been built up into a very strong name. And many people, you'll be surprised, people from all over India come land in Pune and then come over there. So these names, the difficult part, the easy part is to bring them up. Okay. The difficult part is to remain there. Consistently working on trying to remain where you are, and then and that is the most difficult thing, because what happens is as you succeed, you would want to try and bring that success to more people. And in that you end up diluting yourself. If you look at some of the best global marketing companies, they define who they are. And they say that this is me, and based on what I am, I would like to attract that kind of audience. And if you are not that audience, you shouldn't come to me. And those kind of companies have die-hard fans. Those kind of companies have a high loyalty which doesn't break easily, where even if you make a mistake, which we make a lot of, they forgive you because they see you beyond just a transaction. They emotionally connect with you. And that's what you find with certain of the top companies in the world. Why are people fanatics of those products or of those things? Because they don't just look at the product, they look at the name behind the product and what that identity speaks to them. And this is something which is the main thing which I always tell my team, that it's very easy to one day strike gold, but if you want to be a golden man, you have to strike gold every day. For that you have to have an excellent reputation, you have to make sure that your product is always having that affection and recall in the heart of the customer, not in his mind. It दिल से बोलना चाहिए कि यार मजा आया. दिमाग से बोलेगा तो इस कैलकुलेटिंग कि मैंने 10,000 रुपया दिया, मेरा इतना हो गया, वसूली हुआ कि नहीं. But when he talks from the heart, that time all these things don't matter. So connecting emotionally is very important. And that's why the Orchid tagline also, what does it say? It's friendly, eco-friendly. Because people come to us because the Orchid is a warm, friendly, a hotel, a 5-star hotel, which is luxury but not luxury. We don't like, even if our staff is sometimes talking to a guest in a language which is comfortable to them, it's not because he does not know English, but it's because he wants to make that guest comfortable, and that guest is paying you the 5-star rate. It's just that if that guest's comfort today lies in his native language, if he's Tamilian and he's come from outside, and if our chef Bala is talking to him, or if somebody else is talking in a language which they feel comfortable with, then it's not about knowing whether you know English or not. It's not a school. It's about hospitality. It's about warmth, and it's about that guest feeling at home. तो घर पे जाके तो बीवी से इंग्लिश बात करता है कि नहीं मालूम, बट अगर वो जो भी उसके घर पे बात करता है वही वो यहाँ अगर गेस्ट अपने स्टाफ से बात करे तो बॉन्डिंग becomes even better. And if he speaks to his wife in English over home, let him speak English and the staff will speak to him in English. So what is the comfort of the guest? That is most important.
Practically, very truly said, because whenever as I am a South Indian, I do speak in Malayalam, Tamil, and I get connected fast if he is from the same village or same city, same state, whatever it is. Very well said, Mr. Vishal. Now I'm going to ask a tricky question. I do not know whether I can ask you this question or not, but I really wanted to ask you.
Now
When
that
you're
you
an
say
active
it, I'm
member,
sure your viewers are going to wonder. So you might as well just say it.
thank you, thank you. I know you are a very active member in Confederation of Indian Industry as well as in FHRAI. Do you feel in this pandemics these bodies have helped us?
See, let us understand the limitations which anybody goes through. Okay, I may have my own personal opinions and challenges, but let's understand first from their perspective. They also have they also have certain limitations. And when you are in an organization, it's an association of many minds. You may have a certain thought, but if your committee members, co-members, if they don't believe in that, then it becomes very difficult for you to be able to put your thought forward. So many of our members or many of our fraternity people may definitely be disappointed by many things, but some of it is valid, some of it is not valid, some of it is valid but yet not. You cannot blame anybody, because first and foremostly, it's not that they are not trying. Everybody's trying. On our own personal level, we are trying. They are trying. But अगर कोई see एक कहावत है, सोते हुए आदमी को आप जगा सकते हो, सोने का जो नाटक करता है उसको आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते. तो क्या करेगा बॉडी? Unfortunately, different governments, and that's why in this pandemic, different governments have behaved very differently. And those states where the governments have taken certain steps, they have benefited. Those states where the government has not taken certain steps, they have not benefited. Again, the government also intends that it should benefit the state. But just as in parenting, what I write for my child, you might say, Vishal, I think this is not good what you're doing to your child. But I'm the parent of my child. I will decide for my child. That is my right. So same way, every state where every person feels this is how I feel for my state and I'm doing what I think is best. Now that may not be, the child may feel, nahi mummy wo dekho, papa wo dekho, uska wo. But that is not the point here. The point is that in their heart, they are supposedly doing the best. That may not be good for us. For that, what we need to do, that's another topic.
Because I have had the Taj Hotels director from Goa on my show, and he very clear-cutly said they have done a boom of business in this pandemic because of the government supporting them and government just calculating that we will also get this much of GST amount, so it will be an additional advantage. And they supported to the core, and they have done 600 crores in this pandemic. That's what I heard from them when he spoke to me.
Goa has done very well. Goa has done very well. Even right now, the Orchid at Shimla is opened. It is doing very well, touch wood. You find many of our resort destinations doing very well. What has suffered mainly is the city hotels, and not just in Mumbai, but across. But that also we see a lot of traction happening, because city you will only come basically when you have business work. And this pandemic has shown that work from home is not a viable option. It is an alternative which may be here because of various other conveniences. But work from home does not work if you want your business to grow. If you're already set and that is it, then it works for you. But if you need a growing business, I remember reading an article, TCS chairman, when pandemic hit in April 2020, was like, suddenly they have, and because they're an IT company, they were able to bounce into the work from anywhere kind of concept much faster. And I remember reading in around April end or something, or May somewhere, where he said, oh, this is the way TCS is going to be, and we will not have any offices, and we will not, and this is amazing. And the same gentleman, after about a year, just recently said that we are itching for when the offices will open up. That's because there's a limitation to work from home. There is, people's houses are a limitation. There are various infrastructural issues which each one individually faces. And ultimately, it's culture. What is our culture? Indian culture is about bonding. Indian culture is about getting together. We are not like European or American culture where, we are individual in our thought. If we don't see other people now, we feel, Arey, koi kuch ho nahi raha, kya hai? But that is the way we are. We want to see other people around us. We are brought up that way. Joint family, even if it's a nuclear, your building meets, and that becomes your family. So we always want to collect together as Indians. And that is basically why people go to an office. There's a huge social life which is totally, eradicated and gone, which you start missing. The daily commute of 1 hour a day doesn't seem so bad, because you go to the office, you're away from your home, you're mentally also cut off, you're doing your work, and then when you come back, there's a sense of achievement of work, and then there's all your colleagues, there's something to chit chat, gossip, celebrate, birthday, what the Zoom birthdays and all. Initially everybody used to do cheers in front of the thing. Within hardly 3 weeks, everyone stopped. WhatsApp pe wapis happy birthday aane laga. Why? Because the thrill went off. We want to
Yeah.
meet in person. We don't want to meet on Zoom. We want to meet in person, and that is basically where the whole thing will. So business hospitality will bounce back just as offices will bounce back. It's only about timing.
And I am sure it will bounce back with a bang, as I am also a consultant on board for TCS. I know what you said was 100% right. When in the beginning they said work from home, we are able to get more works done from them because they log in at 8 o'clock and they log out at 10 o'clock. Post that second wave, they understood that it is not possible. Then they started opening up the offices, and that is how it went on. Now, one thing I heard from you now that you have opened up in Shimla, is it?
Yes, we have. It's a 96-room hotel, the Orchid Shimla.
Okay. It is a five-star 96 keys, it is?
Yeah, it's got the largest banquet hall in Shimla, about 5,000 odd square feet, and it's got 96 rooms, which makes it the largest inventory in Shimla. It's an absolute delightful wedding destination. It's got almost, I think, 80 to 100 car parking, which is itself a big thing in Shimla. I was absolutely amazed to see how they park the cars and how people adjust. If you want to know patience and if you want to learn how to adjust in life, you must visit Shimla and spend some time there. People have immense patience and people have immense sense of support, because it's narrow roads. Anytime anything can happen. When I went, it was snowing, and suddenly the whole place was in disarray. And yet you'd find the Himachali people very calm, very cool, because गुस्सा होके कुछ फायदा नहीं है. मुंबई में या कहीं पब्लिक एकदम sudden agitated होता है, and even we were anxious, बोले अरे क्या हो रहा है, and our guys like साहब बैठो आप आराम से हो जाएगा. And that kind of thing teaches you a lot. Travel teaches you so much. And people of Himachal also taught me patience कि जो होना है वो होएगा. अगर वो खुल गया तो हम वैसे भी निकलेंगे. उसको गुस्सा और सब लोग agitate होके क्या होने वाला है. These small new things in life teach you so much, and that taught me also. So Himachal is a great place, excellent weather, excellent people, and I invite you and your viewers to come there.
Wonderful, wonderful. I would love to be there. How long before it was opened?
It has just opened about a month and a half back. Just after the second wave. It actually opened before the second wave. It opened in March, but then it just had a few days of operation. It shut down because of the lockdown, and then it just opened again recently. And touch wood, in a short time, it has picked up very well, very, very well.
Now it is a very, very big holiday destination now. Many are going there.
Yeah, Himachal is in Himachal, naturally you're socially distanced. If you don't go to Mall Road or some of the other places, naturally you're socially distanced, and that's why people feel safe there, and then they come to our type of hotels. There are some other also very good hotels where less crowd, and if you're in the hotel and you're enjoying around, going to those kind of places which are not very packed, I think there's nothing to worry. And most of the guests are all double vaccinated now, either single or double. Any responsible person will have already taken one shot by now. So the traveling is not so much of a worry at all.
Okay, fantastic. Now tell me, Mr. Vishal, you are a busy schedule man. Now this Shimla was not known to me. Now I came to know, so many viewers also came to know about this Shimla. With this busy schedules, how do you manage your property, your work schedule, as well as your family? How do you maintain that?
Then see, it's nothing like that. You are only as busy based on the level of interest you have. I know people who are way more busy than me and are able to take out more time for their hobby than I can. Why? Because time management is something which is a skill which they have developed, and automatically then they do their career, then they do their hobby, then they handle their family. In my case, I have Aditi who supports me greatly, and so she handles the family. And I basically my hobbies are within my work, so luckily that also clubs together. When I travel, my work happens, and in my work my hobbies also happen. So I don't need to worry much about actually having to take out time, and that's how I manage it. It's a very simple thing which I think most people do this the same way.
Okay, well said. You are an energetic leader. I have been seeing you for the past now say 10 years or 11 years. And what is your advice to the upcoming entrepreneurs who are venturing into this industry in this kind of a pandemic?
Who are venturing into this industry, there is not much I can tell right now. The reason being that, first and foremostly, let's first understand who we're talking about. If it's an organized player, okay, or someone who wants to set up an organized, proper, take up some outlet or restaurant, please evaluate thoroughly your sale module. Where will you sell? Who will come to you? What footfalls will you have? But coming to entrepreneurs, I'm very proud of the number of home entrepreneurs I have, encountered with, or I have friends who become, each one taking up their skill set, and some in bakery, some in cooking, and many of the earlier, only one major grievance I have is पहले वो आंटी ऐसे ही घर पे बेचती थी, अभी उसको फोन करके पैसा देना पड़ता है. But earlier, so that is the one thing. But I really appreciate the kind of entrepreneurial zing which so many of these people have shown. Various ladies and various friends of mine who, and that's really something great, because ultimately it's not about the money, it's about recognition of their skill or their talent or their knowledge. If I feel like eating that kind of GSB type food or Saraswat food, seafood and all that, or if I want to eat something particular, then those people you start thinking of, why? Because their skill has brought them to the forefront. And if you want something good, you should pay for it. Why not? It costs her also, and there's nothing wrong in that. But that entrepreneurial zing and that skill which they've done, I'm really proud of these people, because half the people in this pandemic, like you and me, were like, hey, kya hoga hamara? And then you find these various people flourishing, and God bless them, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Even my grandfather earlier was a small guy. He started off with a very small establishment, just like today these home chefs. And one fine day, these home chefs will at the right time put up a restaurant, and they will do further. And that is what entrepreneurship is all about. Not everybody starts off big with something grand and all that. No, that's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is where you had nothing and you make something so much that after a while, when you look back, you're like, wow, what a journey has that person had. So best of luck to all these people.
Wonderful. It is nice to hear from a entrepreneur who has come up very good in his life and is wanting, blessing other people also to come up and grow with them. On this note, Mr. Vishal, we need to take a commercial break for 2 minutes. We'll be back once again into the converse.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Pradeep. Pradeep ji. Well, that was Selavi, the elite club in Bandra, which belongs to Mr. Bossap Paul, my last boss from 2008. So I respect my boss for whatever he has taught me and whatever I have grown. Still, I have that And I have been very nice to all my ex-bosses, and they are also very nice to me. That's how the life has been to me. Now, coming back to the show, Mr. Vishal, it has half an hour passed. I do not even know how this half an hour has passed because I've got so many questions to ask you, actually speaking. Now, how do you feel now in the pandemic, when the pandemic came as a storm to us? How did you feel that time? And how do you feel now? And what will be the future?
The future, see, you have to take life, you have to be like water. If you want to, that very nice song is there, na? Pani re pani tera rang kaisa, jisme mila do
Mhm.
uskaisa. In life, you have to be like water. If you, whatever shape of the vessel, you should take that shape and you have to adjust because there is no point in fighting the situation. How do you adjust and how do you mold yourself towards what is around you? But you have to be constantly flowing like water. If you stagnate, you will become muddy, you will become, full of moss and other things. But if you keep flowing like a river does, नाला और river में वही तो फर्क है कि एक नाले का पानी बहता नहीं है and then it becomes a breeding ground for various disease. But what does happen to a river? A river gives life and ultimately goes to the sea. So same thing in our case also. Every problem, you've got to take that problem and you have to go with the flow, see how it is, take it, and then because problems are going to come. So even this pandemic, suppose if why pandemic? Suppose if there was a war tomorrow between some nation and us, what would we do? That time the world would be peaceful and we would be in trouble. But today the global situation is in trouble. So when the situation is like that, there is no point in lamenting. There is definitely a point in terms of what can I do best in the situation that I am. Just as I gave you example of if you are a home entrepreneur, so many people from non-hospitality have become hospitality professionals now because they from 1 year they'll be doing exceedingly well. So many people have started doing alternate businesses. So many people have sold their businesses to do something more. I mean, different people have done various ways to ultimately achieve what they want. So the outlook for me is basically that I have to do what I'm doing best I can and make sure that I continue with that same zeal, that same passion, that same on the same principle. See, if you if you forget your principles, if you forget your foundations, you will go astray. In 2008 to 2010, why is it that every big business, whether it's Tata's or whether it was Kamath's, everybody faltered? Globally, the slowdown that happened was what? The global slowdown at that time was mainly because everybody was over ambitious, over committed in their abilities, and everybody was overstretched because of that. Everybody borrowed more, everybody went into a, and then the global scenario went kaput. And you find even a Tata just like a group being in such challenges that they came out of, just as Kamath was in challenges and Kamath came out of, because everybody has gone through that at that time. Why? Because we all forgot our core fundamental, our Indian principles of being prudent. Okay, you have to have a housewife thinking whereby this is my savings for the worst case scenario, this is my surplus which I want to spend today, and this is what I am going to do, keep for my certain XYZ targets of my children's education or what I want to buy a new fridge or TV. If we don't forget this basic thing which our grandmother mother would do, you know then we will go the negative way. And that's what happened. None of us at that time thought there will be a bad day, so there were hardly any savings in our business. Everyone thought business will keep growing up, land will keep growing up, but it didn't happen. So if you forget your principles of business, if you forget your principles of rather your family values within your business, again, you will fail. So that's something which people should not, because success does that to you. It's very difficult to be grounded. Please remember, the most difficult thing is not to succeed. It is to digest that success. That is the biggest thing which you find, whether it's a movie star or whether it's an entrepreneur. Digesting what makes today Amitabh Bachchan is not his acting skills. It is his ability to be at the pinnacle and then remain at that pinnacle by his humility, by his approaching to the by his approach to the people or to a situation. And then you have various other superstars who have failed or faltered along the way. Why? Not because of the talent, but being able to manage that success, digesting that success. And if you see, he's also had very difficult times in the past. Yet he's been able to overcome them. And today we still revere a man like Amitabh Bachchan after decades, as compared to many of his peers who are today not even heard of. So digesting success, managing success is the biggest challenge which every entrepreneur at when and everyone's time comes. Everybody gets successful one time at least. Now, how to make that happen multiple times is going to be your continued success.
Very rightly said, Mr. Vishal. I think every viewer will accept with this what you are saying, because very nicely you put it across. What you said is 110%. I agree with you. Now we also know that you are a man who is hands-on to the business. As far as what do you feel should be the food cost for a restaurant, or for a banquet hall, or for a cloud kitchen?
There is no point in me throwing textbook thumb rules, because what is your product? Who are you trying to appeal? And based on that will be your various cost parameters. Just because you're a banquet hall doesn't mean that you have to work on X percentage cost, because you might be a high-end banquet. So actually, because you're a high-end banquet, your food cost should be lower, because you have various other expenses which offset that. Why will someone come to you, Ananth, and say, "Sir, मेरे को 3,000 रुपए का function करने का per head plate"? If you say that, I'll allow my chef, say a 25% food cost, that's a lot of money. Why would you do that? You might realize that no, he wants these various things because of which he wants to pay me 3,000, but the food cost should come 15% or 18% or 16%, whatever you decide. So every entrepreneur needs to see who are they targeting. What are you getting out of that guest? And based on that, what are my expenses? If you're in Udupi, your food cost may be higher, but your turnover is so high.
Yes.
If you're a Kamath restaurant, your turnover is high, so your food cost may be higher, but you still, what is your target? Your target is not to save food cost. Your target is to get an EBITDA. EBITDA means your gross operating profit. And if your gross operating profit, you work backwards and you're able to achieve that backward, whether it is your labor, you may have a high food cost, but you may have automated your food process. So your labor cost from, what would have been 20-25% comes down to 15% or 18%. Boss, then what difference it makes what your food cost is? So food cost percentages are never your focus. You should focus on what EBITDA you want. For that, what sale will you achieve? For that, what expenses which are there, and how will you do it? Because you have marketing, you have other hidden expenses. And remember, as an entrepreneur, one thing which each one needs to remember: you are not your cheapest labor. Don't become your cheapest labor. You
Yes.
also, if today were, see, many a times entrepreneurs feel they're doing a big sacrifice by not charging for themselves, okay, and saying, oh, but that is wrong. You must put on a value on you, and then after that your profit should make an EBITDA and a profit which you desire. Why? Because would you tomorrow grow and you kept a manager, will you still get this profit? You won't. That means it's a false profit. It's not your profit. Like some people who have no rent and then they still feel they're doing well. That's because you have no rent. If you put a notional rent value, I'm not saying obviously you will pay rent yourself, but you put a notional value, and then if you're satisfied, that means you're doing well. Otherwise, you're just slowly declining. So remember, as an entrepreneur, put these notional costs down. Even if it is your family property, you must hold a notional rent. When you hold that notional rent, then you will know whether you're doing well vis-a-vis the market or not. And I do these things. I don't take it for granted that what I have got and this is my EBITDA. No. I feel that if I would have today given this on rent, what would have been after that, what my profit is or what my EBITDA is, and based on that, I will tell my manager that you're doing a great job, or boss, I think you're doing a lousy job. उससे अच्छा मैं rent पे दे दूँ बोलने के लिए. But the reality is this: that don't take yourself out of the equation. Always catch yourself in the equation, just as you would have kept a professional manager. And all these hidden expenses which are not being accounted for, take them into account. And then you will know whether you're really doing great or not, and it will give you motivation. If you're not, you will work harder, I hope. If you are, you will know that you're already doing great and you're fairly comparing yourself to your abilities.
Wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. How neatly put it across. Very nice. Mr. Vikram, we all in this business know your father. He is a giant leader, and we all look up to him. What is that you have learned from him, and what is that you follow in your regular business morale?
One of the first things that I've learned is from my father is knowing each person's name. That is very, very important. We know all our employees' name very well, not because we memorize it for the name's sake. We learn their names because we learn about the person. We know their children. We know their background. We know many things about them, which makes us connect with them much better. Because at the end of the day, what makes Vishal Kamath or Vishal Kamath is not Vishal Kamath or Vishal Kamath. We cannot be everywhere. But our team who's there, if they do what culture and what essence we have put in them, then only will Vishal Kamath and Vishal Kamath get their due. Same way I tell my general manager, it is not important if my general manager is there and if the work is done. Then he is a not fit general manager. If he is not there and yet the work is done to that same level, he is a fantastic general manager. A person in anybody's career, I always personally believe any person who's insecure that if I'm not there, okay, and my boss will then find a replacement for me because I've made myself dispensable, that person is making a handicap for his own career, and you're making a handicap for your own life. The real one in our group now, the real people who should need to be insecure are those who try to make themselves indispensable, because that's the worst thing you can do, because now you cannot grow to the next level, so you are stuck there. So even I have no motivation to grow, to put that energy or effort to mold you, because you yourself don't want to go. So why should I push you? Those who teach, we have one chef in our organization, is Master Chef Bala. I always give his example. What do I respect about that man? Okay, and I've worked with him personally in 2001, and I've learned firsthand from him many things. He's a phenomenon. He's the face, and he's the name behind South of India's in terms of so many of the delicious, Malayali, Tamil, Karnataka items. His hand is amazing. But his real achievement is that the way he teaches his team, you don't know whether Bala is made or Bala is not made it. And that is why Bala has been working for the last 20 years, and he's still there.
Oh.
Today, people above him, people below him have come and gone, but Bala is Bala, and Bala will always remain for us Bala, because Bala is willing to teach, which many of the others don't. So those who don't teach, I have very limited value for them. But for Bala, I have immense value. And like Bala, there are many. There are many people who go to the next gen. And those are the kind of people who are the backbone for our organizations. And they are the ones who, so that's why, like I said, learning about people. I'll give you a small example. The other day, it was raining heavily, and I saw one of our sales. So she's her name is Rubina, and she's like the mother of our sales force, because she's age-wise also senior, and she's a very mature lady. So she's able to handle everyone, and all these youngsters come, and she grew, she'll guide them. So I saw her walking, and she recently fell down, and she hurt her back. So I saw her hobbling. And she was going to take a rickshaw. So I stopped the car, and she stays on the way while I go home. So I stopped the car. I said, Rubina, I'll drop you. She said, no, sir, no. So I said, come, I'll drop you. And along with her was one other girl. And this girl and Rubina, I gave them a lift. And while I dropped Rubina and I was talking to this girl, I was so inspired by this girl's background. Here is this young girl. This is her first job. She has just joined the Orchid and come into a Kamath Khandan. Okay, but every single member of her family is absolutely amazing. Her grandmother till date she's 80, goes and buys banana from the same vendor from the last 45 years and sells bananas even today. Her father works in a school even today as a peon. He has educated her, he has educated his son. Her mother in this lockdown has become a vegetable selling entrepreneur. Every morning she wakes up at 6, goes and sells vegetables at Dadar. I was so blessed, because now I am assured that here is a girl who has joined our organization, who has her family roots, fundamentals very strong. So today I have now my job made out very easy, where I only have to teach her a job, and every guest will be thoroughly delighted with her, and she will make sure that she makes a mark on them. Why? Because our foundations are very strong. Our family values and culture is very strong. That is the biggest thing we look for when we hire. And so I was very happy that our HR also is still walking on those same lines and hiring such people who come from very sorted background, very grassrooted, grounded backgrounds. So she's doing very well. So these kind of small things are there. That's why I said I know her name. It's not right to say, but these kind of things are there, which makes the difference in Kamath's as a place to work.
Very wonderful. What is the girl's name you said? I remember that HR lady's name is Rubina, right? Marketing.
No, Rubina is the senior. This girl is there. She works under Rubina.
And this young girl, whose mother is a vegetable.
The younger. Rubina is one of our senior sales heads. managers.
Okay, next time when I come, I will definitely
I'll
meet the
introduce you
Bala.
to her when you come. I'll introduce you to her.
Because I am basically a South Indian and I have tasted your South Indian food. It is really
Oh,
amazing.
yes.
I feel like I'm sitting in Saravana Bhavan and eating in Chennai. That is how I feel. It is also great to have in
People who
Sangeeta
sit
in
in
Chennai.
Ananth, people who sit in Saravana Bhavan, they say, "अरे यार, कैफे विंध्यास में बैठा जैसा लग रहा है मेरे को." So it's a mutually sharing experience.
Wonderful. I will drop in. I will drop in. Now, you have been known for your food festivals, which you organize every year, and it has been a big hit among the Mumbaikars. And people keep on. In fact, when I and my wife had come, we had to book a table, then come because for small things, I don't like to disturb you, so we do the bookings and come. But again, we see a good amount of crowd for your Sunday brunches and your South Indian food festivals and all these things. Is this the Bala behind man behind this Bala?
Look, there are a lot of men behind this. It's never been a one-man show. Just as south of India, there's Chef Bala, we have Chef Shastri, we have Chef Rishi, we have so many. Important is not the chef. Important is the coming together of the team to be able to come out with this whole bouquet. Our dishwasher is equally important as the chef, because if he doesn't do his job, what will the chef do? What will the F&B do? Every
Exactly.
single person, it's like a watch. You cannot say which screw is most important or whether dial is the thing. You may only see the dial, but there are so many people working behind that make that experience complete, which make you travel on time. Same thing in our hotel also. Every single person, right from our security is an outsourced agency who's been with us for years. They are another shining example of how they have imbibed Kamath culture, our Namaskar culture, greeting everybody and making your experience a delight right from when you come in from the gate. Forget even alighting from your car. How they bang the door or they don't is very important. In many hotels you go and they just bang your door, or your dicky, and you are very upset about it.
Yes.
Right from a small thing like that to when you alight, greeting you namaskar and making you feel welcome. Then comes the reception, then comes your hostess, then comes your waiter, then comes the chef. So he's way behind. What makes it successful, what makes our Onam a phenomenal Vishu, Onam, or our various things is the entire commitment by each one towards making you having a memorable time. See, you come with your family, okay, and family time, especially pre-pandemic, was very limited. And in that, when you when you come and you have such memories, Onam, there are people who fight and book मतलब in advance कि नहीं मेरा इतना late table है, मेरे इतना ये रहेंगे. My mother is coming. My mother doesn't go out. She can't walk, but she comes. She insists on coming to eat in Onam and doing that. They are die-hard fanatics of our Vishu festival, Onam festival, and other various festivals, because it's beyond just food for them. Like I said, we emotionally connect with our guests. I remember one time we were so full we had to open the bar, and now that has become a regular feature. Vindhyas के बाजू में जो bar है, उसको भी set up करना पड़ता है, because people are like, नहीं ठीक है, नहीं है तो Merlin's में दे दो, मगर हमको दे दो. And they do this why? Not because they cannot go to any other place. It's because for them it is now a family tradition to come and eat at south of Vindhyas, and otherwise Onam is not complete for them. So that's what matters to us. Their affection.
Now we have the Onam round the corner coming up. And I am here
and
to have
we celebrate Onam for 3-4 days. So we always stretch the Onam festival from 3 to 4 days, because there are a lot of non-Malayalis who still want to come. But on Onam day, they don't get a place, because like I said, most people pre-book and then in advance it is sold out. So it becomes a big challenge. And Onam is not a thing where you can turn the table. One time a family comes and sits. That time it's just one sitting. So we have Onam over the next 4 days, so that many of the other guests also can come and enjoy. And there are some guests who come all 4 days. They come all 4 days back to back, because वापिस इतना सारा spread, इतना सारा ये कहाँ मिलेगा? Because on our Onam there are like some 30 something plus items apart from all the other various things which you probably know. So people come sometimes all 4 days. I've met guests who have come all 4 days and enjoyed. So that's how our festival, just apart from the main day, because one thing which I always share with our team, it's the festival. I may not be Muslim, but I enjoy our Eid Biryani festival. Okay, I may not be Catholic, but I want to come for New Year's, Christmas, that whole festive atmosphere, eat that Christmas turkey or that plum cake. because I also want to partake, and that's what makes our country so amazing, is that all of us want to participate in each other's festivals, at least if not on the main day, at least around it, because that makes us feel, festival and celebration is part of us. On Ganpati also, so many of our other friends from other faiths, they come to our Ganpati. Why? Because it's about celebration. It's about togetherness. That is what makes Indian hospitality amazing. Why today a Taj, Oberoi, Orchid, why these chains are doing exceedingly well even in this pandemic is because that Indian warmth and hospitality which they exude and which they follow. I'm a big Taj fan myself. I prefer staying in Taj hotels because they have the same ethos as Orchid does, or as in terms of our being warm Indian hospitality chains. And I always give preference to them to stay if there are comparative other brands. I always prefer Taj.
So, because Onam itself is celebrated in Kerala for 4 to 5 days. Actually, it is Onam, Thiru Onam, like that. There are 5 different days which you come across. So if you extend it for 7 days, also people will still flock in, because the crazy for Olan, Kala, Navi, and Masi, and Kuttu, it is a very great food, because I go eat every day. If I want to eat Kerala food, I can eat every day also. That is my way of eating Kerala food. That is the Kerala South Indian food for that matter. Now, speaking about food, let me ask you, what is the best thing, or what is the best food does your wife cook for you, and which is the one you like the most? As Aditi said, you like all her foods, but I want to know what is the speciality that food you like. She had already told me about the crab, so I'm not asking you about the crab. Now you have to tell me something else.
So I have some friends who make some phenomenal crab, and crab is something which is very emotionally dear to me. I am very, very particular about what crabs I eat. I don't eat crabs beyond smaller than a certain size. It should not be there. I don't eat little children. I need some this thing. And crab is a very, very sensitive topic, But the thing is, I'll tell you one thing about Aditi's cooking. Okay, the best thing that Aditi makes is things which I don't know about, because I only get to know them after she makes it. Aditi is a phenomenal chef who's able to make tasty food out of whatever is there, just like how my grandmother could do. It's a phenomenal quality of being able to make it's really surprising, because it's not like she makes these 5 items. Like, there are some of my friends who are master in cooking certain things, but Aditi's khasiyat as a chef is that whatever is there, based on that. So I don't know any particular one dish. I can tell you many dishes which she makes phenomenally, many, but there is no one particular dish which is a specialty. You want to talk about Contis and shepherd's pie, roast chicken, you want to talk about, but there's no point, because these are all these items which she makes, but whatever she makes is A1 tasty. That is her success, and she's very creative. She's very creative in terms of being able to, like one day I came and I don't like veg food. One thing which it's ironic, being Kamaths, we are perceived to be vegetarian, but no, we are GSB and we enjoy our seafood and we relish our seafood. But people feel Kamaths and all that, but no, I'm not that much into veg food, though we make excellent veg food. And yet, Aditi, one day I came home and I found this one very big broccoli, which was there, on the table. And I said, I don't want to eat this. What is this? She's like, no, you must try. And after I started eating it, I think hardly I gave Aditi any of that broccoli, because that broccoli was visited with, some cheese sauce, and there was some truffle inside hidden and whatnot. By the end of it, Aditi was like, she doesn't complain when I eat. It's not like, "Arey, mera khaya" and all that, So I felt guilty after eating. I should have left some. But Aditi made that once, but I still remember it. So like that, there are many things which she's made phenomenally. And she keeps experimenting, she keeps doing, and that's how I'm healthy.
Because I too like her cakes and all which she made for the Mother's Day, and some samples I could see. It was all awesome design. What a garnishing! What beautiful it was. Amma, she made one. I don't have my Amma, so I was so very impressed by that cake. I thought if my mother would have been there, I would have went and gifted her the Mother's Day. That's what I felt. And I congratulated her at the same time, and I wished her also very well. And she accepted it.
She does very well. She does all these kind of things. She supplies to other people also, because of which she is always looking at new things. So she supplies also, she sells also, and she's doing well for herself. And as a husband, it is my duty to support her passion. I don't get involved in her passion. I'm not interested in being involved. I always tell her, because so I remember, I know we're going to run out of time, and I remember one thing I saw, and that has worked very well for Aditi and me. And it was this program about millionaires, and there were various millionaires, and one of the millionaires was Donald Trump and his first wife, and their interview. And that time his wife said, Donald and I are still the best of friends. We are so close. Even now also today, if there's a problem, the first person he will call is me. But we just could not be together as a husband and wife. And what spoiled it all was when I started getting involved in the business. When we got involved in the business, we'd come home, we'd talk work. When we were at work, we'd talk about work and home. And there's the boundary between work and home started evaporating. And that's basically what led to us falling out. But the minute that wasn't there anymore, we are still today the best of friends. And that kind of made me, that struck me in another way. And I apply that in my daily life, whether it's with my parents also, whether it's with Aditi also, whether it's with anyone. There's a right time and place to talk about certain things, and then there is not. And if you maintain that okay, we've gone for a family dinner, you might be in a joint family business and all that, dissuade from talking about work at that time. Say, Kaka, हम कल बात करेंगे, Papa, हम कल बात, whatever moves ever you're working with. Sir, कल में हम लोग 9 बजे ऑफिस में बिलेंगे ना, तब बात करते हैं. You see this small one step, one change will make a huge difference in your personal life and your working life, especially when you're working together and jointly. Because when you start making these boundaries, you start enjoying family time as a family, even though you are also business partners, but still you are a family first, and you start enjoying family time as a family. And when you're in office, because you have kept the agenda, you have a lot of things to talk about again. And that's how basically your bonding as a professional or as a business family continues, and you're able to have the best of both worlds rather than make it one and have neither peaceful either place. So try this formula. It works for me. It has worked for many of my friends who have suggested. It's a conscious call that you have to make, and it works. It definitely helps.
Well said, Mr. Kamath. I think I should have extended your time to 1.5 hours because I wanted to ask more questions. But time is constrained for us. Now, I would like to, as we draw close to the show, I've been told one more thing by Aditi, which you should be very, which she has told me in the show. You sing very well. So let our viewers also hear you out for whatever you could sing and make the viewers happy.
Aditi, as a supportive wife, even if I bray like a donkey, she will say, "Arey wow, kya gaya." I think every good spouse supports the other, and Aditi is just like that. For this, we should have a nice mehfil, a nice better, where I think many of our common friends we can sing, and I'd be happy to have you and all of them hosted at Orchid, and we will definitely do a karaoke singing session. That would be, I think, much better. And I really thank you, Ananth, for having me here. It's been my absolute pleasure. Many of your questions have provoked in me certain thoughts, and that's why I really cherish the last 1 hour that I've had with you. I hope that I can say the same for your viewers, and I'm free to be in touch with if anybody has anything through you. You can let me know. I'm always there.
Pleasure, Mr. Vishal, having you. Next time when I take you to the show, I should take it for 1.5 hours. That's what I feel so. As we draw close, can I have the technical team and Dimple Madani to give a vote of thanks to our today's chief guest, please?
Dinesh Nair, the founder
Yes, definitely.
Association of Indian Football Coaches, AIFC, trustee Mobile Football Arena and Leagues.
As we draw close to the 14th episode of the Hospitality Show, I would like to thank Mr. Pradeep Jodhani, the technical head of the show, Dr. Ananth Vaidyanathan, the creator and the visionary for this wonderful event, and Mr. Vishal Kamath, our honorable chief guest, for making this show super successful. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all our wonderful viewers who has contributed equally by being a part of this wonderful event. So, ladies and gentlemen, till our next episode, signing off from the show, Dimple Madhani, good night and Shubhratri. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Vishal. Looking forward to see you, and I will see you in the Onam Sadhya.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you. Thank you. This was the 14th episode of our hospitality show hosted by Touch of Class and presented by the Selavi, the Elite Club. Now for the next show, we have a very honorable guest. Pradeep, can you just put the slide on for the next show? For the next show, we have a very honorable distinguished guest, Mr. Pradeep Shetty, who is called as Pradeep Panna. He is the director of Maharaj Group of Hotel and Restaurants, and he is also the joint secretary of NRIA and as well as the vice president of NHRAFW. And he will be on the show next week, that is on the 3rd of August, same time, 7 p.m. IST, and we will have a wonderful time with him. And today, I am sure we have heard a very nice talk from Mr. Vishal Kamath, who really cherished, who spoke very well about the industry. And this shows how a hospitality guy has to be and how he has to be very nice to everyone. Thank you so much, viewers. This is Corona time, is still not end. Help the poor, feed the hunger. If not one, feed 10. If not 10, feed 100. That is how the way is going forward. So until our show next week, I will say love you all and take care of your health and stay safe. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye.